All right. So good morning, everybody. Once again, and if you're from the Middle East, once again, Assalamu alaikum and marhaba. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, I've realized that. Naveen, thank you. Yeah. So as we start today this morning, I want to ask you guys. We're gonna, my webinars are very interactive because I make it all about you people, and this is your platform. Okay, this is a little bit about less about me and more about you. So what was your first impression? What are you here for this morning? You can use the chat box as opposed to talking, because I wouldn't be able to see all of you at the same time. So I would request for you to use the chat box, and you use it to type your answers in, your questions and answers. And if you definitely want to talk, please use the hand raise icon, which is beneath your Zoom platform. Excuse me. So we can talk about it. So my first question to all of you this morning is, what are you looking forward to talk about or understand this morning? What are your objectives of being on this workshop this morning? First thoughts, objectives. What do you want? What are you looking for? Let's establish what you want from this, and then let me see if I can do justice to what you want. So when you saw the advertisement, when you saw the post that was sent to you, you guys registered for the webinar. So what was it that you were looking for when you thought about what is that one thing you want to take away from today's workshop? Any answers? Okay. Standing out from the others. Okay. Something on how to improve the self. Absolutely. How to face an interview. Okay. Great. What are the skills that are missed out on the job profile? Okay. So let me tell you, this webinar is a two-part series. All right. So today we will be touching upon the basics of what some people miss, and we will do an advanced session next week, which is next Saturday. So you will see that a part of it is going to be talked about today, and we'll talk a lot more about how you can improve your skills in our next week's webinar. So I hope that's all right. So we'll touch about the fundamentals, the basics, etc. as we go ahead. Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to start off with our presentation this morning, so that we get more time to talk at the end of the session. So allow me to share screen with you guys. Okay. So please let me know if you can see the screen.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right. Great. Okay. Right. So if you feel the need to talk at some point, you're going to have to raise your hand, or you're going to have to type on the chat box. Please don't disturb us while we are, presenting, because it becomes very difficult for me to, if you're not on mute or if you're disturbing the session, it'll be very difficult for me to get back into the thought process. All right. So here we are. We're looking at the screen where you're talking about employability skills. Now, let me tell you, what are employability skills, right? You are in a job market that is so difficult and challenging today, and everybody is trying to get a job, and a lot of us, not everybody, a lot of us are trying to get jobs, and we need to establish that what makes me different. What is that HR person looking at me for? What may, even though there is an opportunity, there's going to be like one opportunity and 100 applicants. Why should I stand out? Why you, right? So these are the things we'll be talking about today, and we'll talk about the basics and the fundamentals, what make you, and how can you be empowered during this period? How can you consistently apply for jobs? How can you not just give up? So I will tell you from my experiences of how many jobs I've applied, what I've done in my life, etc., and share my experiences with you. Now, if you find them legit, awesome. If you think there's something that's better than what I'm saying, I would like you to share that with us so that I can learn from you. So I always go with an open mind. It's not me. It's me understanding you and you learning from me and me learning from you, right? So every session we do is all about trying to learn and build that ability to exchange knowledge. Okay, so let me take you through what's on the agenda today this morning. Okay, so what is the first thing we'll be talking about? Why do we work, right? The first thing I'm gonna talk to you about the different reasons why people work. What are we going to be doing? Why is it important for us to understand employment and unemployment? That'll be the next thing that we'll be talking about. Then we'll get into what are the top skills, right? Now, this is something even Google will tell you, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about how you can brush those skills that you need. What are the tools you can use to improvise those skills, and how you can come out more successfully with those skills. And if you don't have those skills, then what do I do, right? So that's something we'll be talking about as well. Where can I start? Okay, now as many people say, okay, all this is great, but what do I do? I'm here, I'm doing this, where can I start? So we'll talk a little bit about where can you start and stuff like that. And then we also talk about how to do the job search. We're going to spend a considerable amount of time in talking about how to do the job search, what are the platforms you can use, how do you go out of the way? You can't just sit and apply online and say, I'm going to wait for my response, for the employer to respond to me. So what can I do in this kind of a situation? So we'll be talking a little bit about that, right? We'll also talk about what are employers looking for. Many times the things that you don't understand is what is HR looking for. And I'll tell you many times what we in human resources are looking for. When I hire someone, what are the things, what am I looking for? What are the standards? What is the benchmark of what we're looking for? So this is something we'll be talking about extensively, about what do employers generally look for and why we select one candidate over another. Okay, so that's something you can we'll touch upon. We'll also touch upon preparing for the interview. Why is it important to prepare for the interview, and what are the basic preparations, right? The common things are like, okay, be on time. Everybody knows about these things. But what more do I need to do when I prepare for an interview? Many times I see candidates coming absolutely not prepared for an interview. They just come and show up like they just woke up from this morning without any information. That is something that I totally judge candidates on. Because if you're not prepared for an interview, I don't expect you to come prepared for work, right? So definitely you need to understand what it takes to prepare for an interview. We'll talk a little bit about that. So what is it that recruiters don't tell you many times, right? Sometimes you apply for a job and you ask yourself, why have I not heard from these people? And then you're asking yourself many questions. Did I not do well? Or what happened? Oh my God, this company is so lame. They only send you mails and they never get back to you. Why people don't get back to you? I'll tell you why we don't get back many times. And that's not only because it's your fault, but it's also because of probably a system. We'll talk a little bit about what Webinar 2 has for you in store. Okay, that's for sure. I'll tell you. And what are the benefits that are going to be there if you were to register for the next webinar as well. So these are some of the things that we're going to be talking about this morning. Okay, so I think some of the basic objectives that you've already told me is that, okay, what you want to establish today. So we will cover the topics to some extent of whatever you said. But other than that, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. This has got to be an interactive session. All right, so let's make it as interactive as possible. And the first thing I'm going to ask you is, why do we work, right? What's your first thing? Employment. Why do we all go to work? Why do we need to work? Any answers? Why do you go to work? Why do you need to work? Why do you want a job? Why do you want to be employed? There's many people who say, I want to make a difference. Yes, we all want to make a difference. But the number one thing is, absolutely. Thank you, guys. We need money to live and to sustain. And what I see a lot of people saying, you can become, you can become entrepreneurs, you can become that, you can become this, but you got to make a start somewhere, right? You have to make a start somewhere. And so for that, I always tell people that if you can't be an employee, you can't be a great employer. So you have to learn the fundamentals. If you want to, a lot of people today want to start their online business. They want to start doing this. They want to start making money. Money does not come overnight. If somebody says that to you, they are fooling you, right? They are fooling you. Money does not come overnight. It does not happen overnight. You know, the number of advertisements I see online that says, oh, you can make 58 lakh rupees by joining our workshop. By the end of 6 months, you will make, $25,000. I mean, who are you kidding, right? Like, I mean, why are people so naive? I'm just asking myself, is it so easy to make so much money so early? Who have you heard one person? Look around you and see anybody, any big person, whether it's a Steve Jobs or whether it is, whether it is anybody. You just can't think about somebody who made money overnight. Nobody made money overnight. So why do you think you can make money overnight? So all of these false promises that people give you are just farce, right? So there is hard work that is involved in making money. There's no shortcuts to making money. If you're thinking you're going to get shortcuts to make money, then I'm sorry, that's a reality check. I'm going to break that for you and tell you that there's no way you can make money in a short time. There's no shortcut to make any money. The only way you can do money through shortcuts is probably not something that everybody would advise you on. So there are many other ways you can make money, but if you want to make money the right way, and it takes time, right? And I tell people that if you don't know how to be an employee, you can't be a good employer, because you don't know what an employee wants. You don't know what an employee feels like. You don't know what it takes to become an employer. So then you end up being an employer without having the ability to understand people. And if you don't understand people, then that's one of the biggest problems in today's employment world. In today's world, people don't understand each other. And that's the problem that we're facing, right? So coming back to our question, why do we work? We all work for money. There's absolutely no doubt, right? So if anybody else tells you otherwise, they are lying to you. Trust me. And yes, we all want to make a difference. I want to make a difference. I'm not, like, for example, I'm doing this webinar. I can't even tell you the amount of money I'm spending on this. This is a free webinar, but I'm spending money out of my pocket to make a difference to other people's lives. Yes, but then I've just utilized my time to make a difference to other people's lives. I'm not talking about myself I don't want to self-loathe about myself. The point I'm trying to say is that when you want to make a difference, you spend money out of your pocket. You don't necessarily make money. Maybe I will make money eventually, but right now, today, it's all about making a difference to people's lives. And that's what we're trying to do. Right? So yes, money is an important factor. There's no doubt about that at all. So what are we looking at next? Some people don't understand why employment is important. Yeah. I mean, so a lot of people don't understand the state of employment, why it happens, because I have a lot of people coming from universities and college, and youngsters and millennials and Gen Zs, and asking me, why do we need to be employed? Why can't we start something on our own? Well, you need to understand that employment is something that teaches you a lot of things. For example, look at the definition. An employment is going to be a contractual agreement, right? Now you need to know what a contractual agreement looks like. What is the legality of it, right? What is going to go into making an employment? It's a bond between two parties, and how that whole arrangement works. You need to know how that happens, right? It's amazing how we think that we know it all and we want to achieve it. Everybody has this ambition, right? I mean, you need to have the drive, and I love the drive when people have drive, but the drive has to be channeled in the right direction. Otherwise, it's just going to be a dead end. You're going to beat yourself up with no sense of direction, and then you will feel like a failure. Now, instead, why don't you look at things that make you feel right in the beginning and take one step at a time? And that's very important, right? Now, what is unemployment? Unemployment is, when you're not being able to get a job, and when you're not able to get money out of it, being employed after a certain age of employment. So in most countries, employment is up for about 18 years of age or above, or 21 years, depending on country labor laws. But if you're not employed by then you fall under the category of being unemployed. Either you have to make money by yourself, or you have to be making money by working for somebody else, right? So if these two things are not happening, then a person is considered to be unemployed. Now, is that a bad state? It's not necessarily a bad state to be in, but what can you learn from that? Right? Many of us get that whole situation of, oh my God, I don't have a job. I've just finished my degree. I finished my college. I fared so well. Why didn't I get that job? Right? How many of you feel that pain? That how many of you get anxious when you don't have a job? Just say, I mean, just say yes, or even raise your hand, because I was so anxious when I finished university and college, and I was like, oh my God, am I even going to get a job? What am I going to do? Right? Is somebody going to hire me? Am I going to be sitting through interviews and campuses and all of that? Is somebody going to hire me? And then you start praying, oh God, just save me. Then you ask people what they did to get a job. Why didn't I get a job? Did I do something wrong? You ask yourself so many questions, right? So how many of you feel that anxiety when you don't have a job, or when you think, some of you are probably just like in college, out of college, some of you are there waiting for finishing one job, trying to switch on to another job. What are your thoughts right now? Are you What do you feel when you what do you feel right now? Like, do you think it's a great if you're employed, I'm happy for you, but if you're not, how are you feeling right now? Do you feel anxious? Do you think you're not going to make it? Any thoughts? You can type in the chat box. Anxious, okay. Worried about the future, for sure. Yes, I'll tell you how worried I was. I was so worried many times. You get worried because you know that you're good, and you know that life is not fair, and you know somebody else made it to a job when you think that person did not. That person doesn't deserve it. There's been so many times when you go for an interview and you've been told that, okay, you're great, you're great, you're great, and then 2 weeks, 3 weeks down the line, you see somebody else getting that job, and you're like, oh my God, what went wrong? Right? That's what goes into your mind. Right, Rocky? I wish you the best. I'm sure you'll find something very soon. Worried about the gap increasing on the professional front? Absolutely. The number of people unemployed in the world is increasing so drastically. If you look at the statistics, some of the worst unemployment statistics are there in a lot of developed countries right now, right? Including the United States, which usually we use the United States for a lot of data and statistics. So I'm just using that as a benchmark to understand employment and unemployment. It's important. Worried about the future is something that we all are, right? Why do we all get anxious about a future? But trust me, you'll make it. What I can tell you is that things will fall in place. I'm not going to be the one who's going to tell you that it's going to be easy, but it's going to fall in place, right? We all think, remember that time when the most difficult situation in your life, and you think you wouldn't have made it. You will make it. So it's going to be a matter of time, and it's going to it's going to affect you mentally and physically, but trust me, you will make it, right? Yes, Rocky, you want to ask something. What is your question, Rocky?
Yes, Emmanuel. So with it's linked to what Lavina's asked. She said
Okay.
she's worried about the gap increasing on the professional front.
Yes.
Actually, that's a valid point as well. Today, or rather in the future, if you do get a job, let's say 6 months, 7 months down the line,
Right.
would an HR professional actually come back to you saying, I understand due to COVID, you're out of a job? Or do they see it as, hey, wait a minute, you're an underperformer, that's why they asked you to leave? Or on the flip side, uh, you looked for a job, but you're unable
Right.
to get one in a situation like that. So how would an HR head or an HR recruiter look at uh, look at it from that point of view?
Right. So the thing is, Rocky, a lot of HR people don't get back to you. Like, that's the truth. Okay. And that is absolutely, it is pathetic. I despise people who don't get back to you, because I've been on the receiving end of it. Right. I've been on the receiving end of been told that, oh, your offer letter will come in tomorrow morning. Trust me. Some of the biggest companies do this. Okay. Some of the biggest companies do this. And you'll find the reasons for not being employed is not because of just the economic situation. I have not been employed many times because of my race, right? I mean, the amount of racism that exists out there is bizarre. You won't even know how much of racism exists inside companies. Okay, so and all of that, all this equality, all of that looks great on paper, but many times companies don't really practice that. Okay, so I can tell you that. Now, when you can always have a preferred nationality in this part of the world, I'm going to talk this answer is going to be from a very international Middle Eastern perspective, or rather the Gulf perspective, right? You can always have people there talented, but there's something that's a problem with the HR. Now, when you apply and people don't come back to you, it's not about you many times, and we'll discuss that. I'm coming to that section, Rocky. It's not about you, it's about the company in itself. It's not necessary that it's about you, and people do understand that it's a situation is bad. If you're there out there, every single message that I get on LinkedIn, on an average, I get at least 5 to 10 messages on LinkedIn every single day asking me if we have opportunities, because obviously I'm working in another enterprise at the moment. I'm also handling my own business at the moment. So people write asking for employment opportunities, excuse me, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and everywhere. But yes, it's not only, people don't judge you. Trust me, I don't judge anybody, because I know people are out there. I've seen some extremely talented, highly qualified people writing to me because they're out of a job right now, and it's not because they're bad. So no, I think 80 to 90% of the people in human resources right now understand that people are applying for jobs because of the situation, not because they're not to undermine their skills at all. Okay.
Got it. So that's what I'm saying. So an HR would understand that there's a gap.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I also think, Rocky, I think you have some very valid questions. So why don't we do this in the Q&A session so I can answer your questions in full justice? So I'll finish these points that I want to share with you, and then we can talk. We can really have a good interaction after the presentation's done. If that's all right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's move on to understand what are we going to be talking about in this segment. What are the top skills that are required for people for employment? The number one skill is, of course, communication, right? This word that starts with a C, it should be the number one alphabet in the English language, if you actually ask me, because it's that important today. It's that important, because I don't understand why people cannot communicate effectively, but I also get it, because over a period of time, technology has taken and invaded your life so much that you find it so hard to even speak face to face with people. The inability to communicate with the people you relate to at work, at different places, is the number one challenge why you're not able to put yourself out there. The lack of confidence in communication, the words you use, the sentences you make, the kind of people write to you with a job. I mean, if I look like an employer, somebody writes to me and saying, "Hi bro, can you help me get a job?" I mean, what am I doing? Like, am I your friend? Why would I do that to you? Why do I look like a bro to you? If you're writing to a senior HR advisor in an organization that you know, "Hi bro." I mean, I don't, as an HR guy, I don't think you should address me as a bro. But that's what people do many times. This is where the problem is. Now, the moment you tell me, "Hi bro," I'm like, is this the kind of person that needs to really work with us? I don't think so. Why? Because at work, we don't call each other bro all the time. You might do that with your peers, but you don't do that with people you're reporting into. And I'm talking about applicants who want to work with me and apply for a job and call me, "Hi bro." I'm not your bro, sorry. So what I'm trying to say is, how do you communicate with people? There's nothing wrong to talk to people at the same level of that language, but today's generation does not understand how to write a job application or seek for an employment, right? So I just want to tell people that when you write to people, you need to understand what's the kind of language you use, the words you use. What is the app? People don't have time to read long messages today. How do you communicate with them, right? People don't have the ability. I mean, people don't have the ability to sit in a 40 minutes class. What do you expect them to sit and listen to and write to all that you say? Absolutely not. So how do I communicate? It has to be straightforward. Yes, Chris, when you approach somebody on the LinkedIn or approach somebody on Facebook for a job, how do I write? So that communication is very, very important. Okay. So I'm talking about written communication, oral communication. When you sit for an interview, what are the words you use? How do you present yourself? Right? That's very, very important. right? If you don't know the language, learn the language. Don't tell me I don't know the language and sit there for the last 3 years when you had the time to learn a particular language. If you're applying for a job that needs you to speak in English, then you need to speak in English. If you need to speak in Arabic, you need to talk about Arabic. If you're going to be speaking in Hindi, and you need a regional language to be in your job, then you need to understand that you need to learn that language. Life is all about adapting, right? Human beings as a species have survived only because we have adapted ourselves and we have been flexible. So trust me, you are more flexible than you actually think. So the reason I spend so much time over here is because the big problem today is about communication, right? What is the next thing that we want? Networking skills. Now, another challenge is because of your lack of communication, you don't know how to network many times, right? You don't know how to talk to people, because when you talk to people, you don't know what kind of conversations you want to make. Some people are introverted, they can't network. But networking skills are so important to help you survive in your job. You need to network, you need to socialize with people, you need to follow people on LinkedIn, you need to go on, see what professionals are doing, you need to talk to them, get advice from them. You can be persistent. I mean, you can come across as somebody who's nagging, but yes, I try and reply to all my LinkedIn messages. It takes a lot of toll on me, but trust me, when I say things, I want to make a difference, I want to make a difference. And that's why networking has helped me come so far. It's not, I mean, I have been turned down by people. I have been told by people so many times, why are you messaging? You're not going to get a response from these guys. But then I have never given up. Right? I've got used to it. I've embraced the reality that some people just don't network with you the right way. But you cannot give up on networking. You find a platform, go on to events. When things get better, you still have job fairs. You might not even be looking for a job, but what's the harm in going and checking out what's happening? You can build an HR network. You can get to know the HR of other companies. So networking is very, very important. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more in the next session of the webinar. Problem solving. Today's generation cannot make decisions so easily, and you can't decide what to wear from your wardrobe. What are you going to, how can you make other bigger decisions, right? That's the biggest problem we have, right? I mean, if you had only 2 t-shirts, I mean, you'll be wearing one over the other. But if you had like those 25 t-shirts in the wardrobe and you don't know which one to choose from, then you can't make a decision there. How are you going to be able to sit in the organization and make decisions? How are you going to help people solve their problems? These are the questions HR people are asking you when they want to hire you, right? So I'm telling you that if you need, how do I understand problem solving skills? Read more, go through case studies, go through situations. Plenty, Google and Harvard and and Stanford are coming out with a lot of case studies, free courses, coaching. Utilize your downtime to do that. Right? You might not find immediate benefits in these things, but trust me, problem solving and decision making skills come over experience. And some of us in the HR can be unreasonable and expect you to have it all, right? Many times why don't freshers get hired? Because we feel that some skills are lacking in these freshers. So that's why it becomes difficult if you want to get hired in an industry that is not highly technical, but more behavioral. Then we always look for people who've got more experience. So why do you need to stand out? You can stand out by reading more. You can stand out by understanding what it takes to be there to make those decisions. You can come across as smart if you do these courses online, if you read online. So it'll help you to make the right decision, right? So what else are we looking at? Flexibility. The big challenge is flexibility. People think that it's all easy out there. Nobody's ever told you how difficult it'll get when you start working, right? Nobody tells you that. No university gives you education in the world to tell you how difficult it will be when you start working. Nobody, trust me. No Harvard degree, no Oxford degree can tell you what happens in reality. Your experience is only got by you. Your journey is your problem, right? You have to learn from that. So in order to learn, you got to be flexible. If you don't have flexibility, sustaining yourself in any organization today is going to be extremely challenging. How do I make myself flexible? By understanding the reality. How do I make myself adaptable? Right? Oh, I am like this. This organization is like this. I don't think I fit in here. How many times you would have said that if you already worked? How many times we say we don't fit in and we try to just leave things away? Why? Because you're not able to cope with the journey of the organization. So you have to remember that flexibility and adaptability is one of the core competencies we are looking at in human resources. If you can't be flexible or adaptable, right? I'm not looking for somebody who can clock in from 8 to 5 or a 9 to 6. I'm definitely looking for people who can stretch and tell me, Immanuel, I don't care about the number of hours. I only care about my deliverables. That's the kind of people we want. I don't care about how many number of hours you put in, but if you can't get your job done, you can't get it, then I'm going to rate you as a low performer in your job, right? So flexibility and adaptability are very, very important for you if you're looking for employment. It's the next thing. Oh, this is my favorite word, right? Resilience. And how difficult it is to build that resilience. Does anybody understand this term? Does anybody understand what is the meaning of the word resilience? Let me ask you that. Any thoughts? Mental toughness. All right, Tasneem, thank you. Never giving up. Yes, absolutely. If you've seen any of my other workshops where I talk about being empowered, I always tell you, don't give up, because giving up is not an option, right? To be able to rise back, absolutely, Soumya, to be able to rise back from situations, we all fall, we all fall, we all falter, we all make mistakes. But the ability, the innate from you, the innate ability in you to bounce back is called as resilience. And that is what makes you different from others. The ability to bounce back from adversity, fantastic. I like how people are using the definitions from our previous webinars. It's brilliant to see how much of retention you guys have. I mean, awesome. I mean, the attention span is is brilliant. So what I'm trying to say is, when you can bounce back from adversity, right? That's what makes you different. I was telling my team the other day, earlier we were talking about EQ and IQ. So EQ used to be emotional quotient and IQ is intelligent quotient. And when we used to judge you for jobs, we were always talking about IQ, EQ. There's another couple of things that we talk about today. That's called the SQ and the AQ. All right. What is SQ? SQ is called as a social quotient. How social you could be in your work atmosphere, and how do you behave professionally. AQ is nothing but adversity quotient. I didn't hear this for a very long time. I heard this very recently from one of my ex-bosses. I'm just transferring this learning back to you. Adversity quotient. What is adversity quotient? The ability to bounce back from a bad situation, a negative situation. The ability for you to build that strength inside you to say, this too shall pass, right? This too shall pass, because that's how it's going to be. People are looking at people who can deal with adversity. People are looking at you if you can bounce back from negative situations. Are you going to get bogged down and say, oh my God, this is such a bad situation, I'm not able to do anything in my life? No, survival of the fittest, right? So that's exactly what you need to understand. If you want to make it to the cut, you got to survive. And if you want to stand out, build your resilience, read more, get yourself empowered, look at things more positively. The glass half full, the glass half empty, it stands always good. No matter how controversial that perception theory goes, the glass half full and the glass half empty, I always tell people, don't talk about what you can't do without the glass half being full, but talk about when you have half a glass of water, what can you do with it, right? What can you do out of this situation? Look how my example, I've turned this downtime into making something happen, into giving back to people. I've been always wanting to do this. I've been always wanting to do something on my own. I don't really worry about how less money I'm making or how less money I'm getting. I do worry about it. I will be lying if I say I don't worry about it, but I don't let that define who I am. I don't let that put me down every single day from what I want to achieve, right? That's called resilience. That's called resilience. You got to develop that in you. And human beings are extremely resilient. I'll tell you that. You think you are not strong enough, and that's the problem. You don't know how much strength you have. Think about when you think that you are going to give up. Think about all those situations when you didn't give up, right? When you made it up in life, when you made it over the difficult situations in your life. I'll tell you how I built resilience is I can tell you one story after the other, one story after the other. I have been there. I was been there. I come from, I always tell this in almost all my webinars that I come from a very, very humble middle-class family back at home in India. I'm an Indian. right? So I come from a humble middle class family. I've had the issues. My parents, there are times when my parents couldn't pay my college fees, right? There are times when my parents couldn't pay school fees for us. And yet they gave the best of the education to us. God bless them. But the point I'm trying to tell you is that that taught me that that day education was valuable, right? And I didn't want to regret, and I didn't want to neglect what I got from there. And when you start working, you again understand that if you can't build the strength inside you, people will walk over you. People will take you for granted. That does not mean you have to be arrogant, but that only means you accept reality and you build strength from within. This is something that no textbook can teach you other than experience. So what I'm trying to tell you is, you don't have to go through it all the time to build resilience. You can build it yourself. You can look at the situations, you can look at other people and get empowered. And if other people's experiences don't empower you, you can empower yourself by looking at your own situations, right? So positive attitude and drive, very similar to resilience. So I'm going to skip that because we can talk about that later, so I can cover the other points. Now, where do you start? Now, many times people ask, okay, great, you've given me these tips, but where do I start? What do I need to do, right? What is it that you need to do to start off with? The first thing that you need to do is communicate. We already spoke about that. If you can't communicate, you're setting yourself up to fail. Let me tell you, if you can't write a decent cover letter, if you can't build up your CV a little well, if you can't sit in front of the communicator, the person who's interviewing you, and speak up with confidence, it's going to be a lot of a problem for you. In many jobs, communication might not be important. For example, if you're an IT assistant, or if you're a technical printer, you're a graphic designer, communication is not very important, but people are still going to judge you because that's what we look at. Many times in HR, we have something called the halo effect. What is this called? The halo effect is nothing but when somebody is extremely smart and communicates very well, we get carried on by that and we say, oh, wow, this guy is great. But the guy might not be, or the lady might not be very, very good at the work, but just because the person presents himself or herself very well, we're like, wow, let's go for it, right? And then we hire the candidate and then we regret. Why? Because this is what happens. So, but why we get carried off is because the person was able to present himself or herself very well. So presentability in communication is one of the number one factors, right? So in case you're thinking it's not, then you're wrong. It's what the world's going to be made of. So what's the next thing that we're talking about? Develop the confidence to face the interviewer. Many times you get nervous before an interview. How many of you get nervous before an interview? How many of you have been there before you face an interview and before you face an HR person, you're like really nervous. Oh my God, I'm going to get a call. I'm going to get a call. I'm going to have to face this person. The previous night, you were like, what do I say in the interview? What are the kind of questions? How do I face this person? How do I develop my confidence? How do I come across as all of that? I can see the comments, like we're all nervous, right? But we're all nervous because what if I say the wrong things? What if I say the wrong things? What if that HR person or the interviewer is going to judge me for the wrong things that I said? All right, Veronica, thank you, pretty Veronica. A whole nervous breakdown. That's not all right. At the end of the day, you're still going to make it. This job, if you don't get that job, is not going to decide who you are. It's not the end of your life. So why do you get nervous? You have to tell yourself that the more you are nervous and anxious, the less you will perform in an interview. Trust me, the more you are nervous and anxious, the less you will perform. On the contrary, don't come across as overconfident. Don't come across as somebody who knows everything in life and I know it all. You have to be confident. The first thing to look at people is the level of confidence. If your confidence is not at par, that means either you are too nervous, you can't perform. I'm going to make you feel comfortable as an HR person. That's my duty to do that. But if I don't do that, I'm sorry, there are a lot of people who want to make you feel nervous. They feel very good. They feel very secure by making you feel insecure. That's very unfortunate, and that's the truth. Okay, but I generally don't do that. At least I try to avoid to do that kind of a situation. The other thing is when I see candidates who are extremely confident and they think they know it all, but can't answer simple questions. So that's why your confidence level should be, we call this as assertive skills. You need to be assertive in a way that you answer the question to the point and also don't come across as somebody who's overconfident. If you know a lot of theoretical knowledge and you're trying to show off in an interview, your interviewer is more likely to put you down, right? So that's important. right? So that's important. So remember that the confidence level is important. We'll talk more about how to develop confidence in the second part, because that's going to be focusing on the second webinar is going to be on focusing skills and building your CV. That's going to be the next webinar. In case you register for the next one, the next one is read about the subject matter. Now, when you go for an interview, read about it. It's not theoretical knowledge. There's going to be a lot of online things that you can talk about. There's going to be a lot of research materials, papers that you can talk when you read about these things. So these are things that are really important for you when you face these interviews. Yeah. So that's one thing you can do. And I always tell you, prepare every day like you have an interview tomorrow. It's not that you prepare one day before the interview. You never know when you can get that call. I've got interview calls that ask me and tell me, can you come for an interview this afternoon? I'm like, are you serious? Like, why would you call me now in the morning and ask me to come in the afternoon for an interview? It is what it is. So am I going to say, I'm sorry, I need 24 hours to prepare for your interview? Or am I going to say, okay, I am the person you want to hire, I'm going to be there? Ask yourself that question. So which means you got to prepare every single day like you are going to be facing an interview, right? How do you do that? Stand in front of the mirror. The one thing that you can do to influence yourself and increase your confidence is to stand in front of the mirror, talk to yourself, talk like you're talking to an employer. This increases a lot of the confidence. Or the best thing you can do today, record yourself on your mobile phone. How are you going to answer the questions? People ask questions like, okay, so why are you looking for a job? Or why should we hire you? What are your strengths and weaknesses? All these are very, very, lame, primitive questions. But yes, people still ask these questions in an interview. So what kind of answers are they looking for? They're looking to get a different answer from you. If you're going to say, yes, my strength is I'm a people person. I mean, come on, people said that 20 years ago. Stop saying the same things what people said long ago. Look at what you can do. Look at how you can stand out. What are the terms and terminologies that you can use during an interview to stand out, right? You got to choose your words very carefully. Don't need to practice the speech, but go through that in your mind, all the time. How will I face these kind of interviews? That's important, right? And one of the important things that I look for is passion. If you talk to me about money in my first conversation, then you're out of my list no matter how good you are. Because I don't like the fact that when people talk about money in their first round of conversation with an employer, because money is important for all of us, but money is not the most important factor in your employment. And you will understand that when you start working, if you've not started working so far. And if you're already working, look back at the time when you left your previous job. You didn't really leave it only for money. There are many other reasons why you would have left that previous job. So remember that never start a conversation about money, because that puts off an employer. It used to happen 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It still happens, because I don't like the fact that if you talk about money, talk about what value you can add. Talk about what you get from the organization. Talk about the experience that can add to you, because money will eventually come. Money does not come overnight, right? It comes eventually. So what am I going to talk about in an interview is how much I like the job. Why do I love what I want to do with you in your organization? And how can I improve those skills, right? If I would join your organization, what am I going to be expecting from? What am I going to be expecting to learn from you, right? A lot of people write to me and say, Immanuel, I want to learn from you. And that's what I want. My team works around the clock because that's a learning experience. And I can proudly tell you that we don't discuss money. Even 10% of the year, we don't talk about money. Why? Because you love what you do. And money is coming, yes, might not be enough, but if you love what you do, then there'll be very less discussion money, more about how I can learn. What is this thing I can pick up from here for my next job? What is the thing? How do I progress my career? How do I springboard from here? That's what you have to focus on. So your prerogative should be more about what you can learn and value addition to the organization. Then comes the discussion about money. So show people that you are passionate about what you do. That's important. Talk to people and develop knowledge. Networking. Remember that if you are going for an interview, talk to somebody from a similar line of work. Or if you're going for an interview to be a computer engineer, if you're going to be somebody who's going to be into HR, what kind of things people look for? A lot of people write to me on LinkedIn asking me, so how can I face it? I'm going for an interview, and all of that. And what do you think as an HR? How do I answer these questions? And then I tell them, network more. I'm not a subject matter expert. You're probably a maintenance or an engineering person. So ask people what are the trends outside. You did your diploma like 8 years ago. Things have changed right now. Keep up, right? And all that you see on the internet is not necessarily true, right? Is not necessarily true. I mean, if you think Google is going to give you all your answers, then I'm sorry. There are many times Google is also wrong. So you need to understand that Google is something that some XYZ in Tanzania can sit around and write answers, and you can think that is true. That's how Google is. So be careful on what information you choose from the internet when you develop these things, right? And that's important, right? So what's the next thing? Have a positive mindset. When you go for an interview, you have to have a very, very positive mindset, right? People like energy. People like drive. Again, don't be overconfident, but show them how confident you can come across. Have a positive mindset. Wake up early before you go for an interview. Don't make yourself rush. Give yourself extra time. If you're traveling from one point to another point, you need to take into consideration there could be traffic, there could be a lot of that. Now we're talking about things when people used to travel for interviews. Of course, a lot of interviews are now happening online, but I'm talking about the physicalities and the dynamics of when that happens. Yeah. So these are some of the things that you might want to keep in mind. Have a good meal. Do not be anxious. Tell yourself you're going to be okay. Do a lot of self-talk, positive mindset. Tell yourself that you're going to give your best regardless of what the situation or the outcome is going to be. That's how you face an interview. If you're going to constantly beat yourself about, oh my God, I said this in an interview. I should not have said this. Oh, I should have done that. Oh, maybe I should have done this right. We after the interview, I used to beat myself so much. I used to tell myself, oh my God, I wish I'd answered this question better because I didn't have the right answer at that time. So it's important to have a positive mindset so that does not play back on you, because many times what happens is the longer your unemployment gap is, the lesser your confidence becomes. Right? So that's a big problem. So if you've not been employed for a long time, your confidence levels keep dropping lower and lower and lower. So it's important for you to boost your self morale, to tell yourself, yes, you can do better. So remember that that's important as well, right? So you're not the only one to get rejected, my friends. A lot of us get rejected, right? So if you're rejected, you don't have to be rejected. That's what I tell you. Rejection is something that everybody does. If I advertise one job, I probably get about 100 to 150 applications for my department, for my team. You think everybody makes it to the cut? No. But yes, we choose from people who can make it to the cut. Why? Because we want the best. At least I want the best in my team. And the point I'm trying to say is that you think the people who get rejected don't find another job? Of course they do. And I see them going and posting, updating their profiles on LinkedIn, saying that they did find another job eventually. 2 months, 3 months, 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, people have found better jobs, even better companies than to work for. So if you are rejected, it's not necessarily that you didn't make it. It's probably that we were looking for something else, right? Or we were not even looking for sometimes. I'll tell you about that as well. So that's a big problem that candidates don't understand, that how sometimes HR functions. And this is why sometimes, I'll tell you a secret, HR is not the department that's liked by a lot of people. So, this is a problem with us in HR. So, look, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. Guys, I've always told you the truth. I will tell you the truth. I speak my mind, and I will tell you that this is the reality. Yes, even if you go today to a lot of organizations, HR is not the most favorite department in the organization. And that's the truth. That's the truth. HR will do a lot of work, but they might not do everything that you needed. So that's the problem with us. But anyway, moving on. Now, what are we going to do? So how do I do a job search? Company websites, right? It's very important for you to keep abreast on company websites. Nowadays, company websites can be updated even on LinkedIn. You can keep a follow-up with that. Advertisement in journals, magazines, right? If you're still reading hard magazines or e-copies or newsletters of different magazines you've subscribed to, keep looking out for that. We in Bahrain, we still have jobs advertised on our news journals in Bahrain. It's a little primitive, but people still do it. A lot of small companies do it. Sometimes even big companies do it to show that they are hiring, right? So that's one thing you can do. Keep abreast about how you can be in the market. What's the other thing you can do? Networking, we already spoke about that. Many times over here, we actually say in Hindi and Arabic, we use the word wasta, right? What does that mean? It just means that you know someone who's looking for a job. So networking, you can network anywhere. You can network in a football club, you can network in a place of worship. You can network in the temple, church, mosque, gurdwara, I don't know, wherever you go. You can network anywhere. You can network. So, and now a lot of networking does not require physical spaces. We're all networking online. So try to build your network online. That will help you, right? Or can interact with people. LinkedIn is a great profile place. 98% of the people on LinkedIn will not reply to your messages, but there's this 2% of people who still put themselves out there to help you. And I'm one of them. You can always reach out to me if you want to ask a question. Job fairs and seminars. There are virtual job fairs happening. You can Google them out. Plenty of companies are doing virtual job fairs in different markets. I know a great recruiter in Australia who's currently doing virtual job fairs, collecting CVs, interviewing candidates online. Now, there are real job fairs that happen. Of course, when things get better, you will figure that out. Always have a look out for those on social media, right? What's next? Walk-in interviews. Many times you can just walk in to an interview, understand that there's maybe you don't know whether you fit in or not, so you can go through that. You can give you can give your CVs, you can give your resumes. Telecalls, just calling up a company and finding out. Sometimes you saw the job online last month. Maybe you still want to know if the position's open or not. So call them up. What are you going to lose? A few bucks on your making a few phone calls. That's it. Yeah. So why not? So why not call up and find out? Hey, what, you guys still are you still interviewing candidates? Are you still is the job position over? Yeah, you might. 90% of the time people say, sorry, please apply online, or please go to our website. You can send your CV over there. This is the kind of response you might get. But what are you going to lose? I mean, if you get it, big deal. I mean, if you don't get it, you have nothing to lose, right? So why don't we just call and just take that whole risk of doing it? Now, social media platforms are huge. Okay. Today, social media recruiting is huge. In fact, I can even do a webinar on how social media recruitment actually happens. So if you look at some of the things that I can show you, how we, the four major platforms that we use for recruitment today are Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Okay, so all of these platforms are used extensively. The number one platform will always be LinkedIn, but not all jobs can be advertised on LinkedIn. Remember that not all companies advertise all jobs on LinkedIn. So a lot of companies use their Facebook posts or their groups to advertise jobs on. They ask WhatsApp is another way, which we've not mentioned over here. You can find yourself on WhatsApp groups. That's one thing you can do. Now, what I would like to show over here is what are the other ways you can do an internet job search is by Google, of course, is definitely is the number one internet platform that can get you jobs across the globe. Then we have something called Indeed. Okay, this is very common. You would have come across this the last few years. Indeed is very is an important platform. I'm going to give you a few hyperlinks that look like this. For example, if you look at Indeed, Indeed's platform actually looks like this. You can go down now. It's showing my location is identified because I'm talking to you from Bahrain. This is how Indeed opens up as a platform. I don't think you can see it. Can you? Let me just check, guys. I think we can't see it. Job search. Okay. Okay. This is how Indeed looks like. So you can look at Indeed, which is a very common platform, find jobs, etc., etc. This is something you can look at. Okay. It says build your CV, etc. Indeed is very common in India and the Middle East. So you can use Indeed as a platform. Now let me look at what else do we have. In my presentation, we have, of course, we have Naukri, which is our favorite probably website that we use over here. You can let me share a screen with you. I'm sure you've seen this. Naukri platform looks like this. Okay. All right, so this is how now it's opening up Naukri Gulf because I'm in the Gulf. But if you're in India or any other part of the world, that's what will open up as Naukri. But these are two important things. I came across as other job platforms the other day. Let me see what I can share with you. Bait is something that is Middle Eastern. BAYT. Monster is a little old, but you can look at Monster Gulf or Monster. I came across this thing called Glassdoor, which I like to share with you guys. It's supposed to, it's rated as one of the top websites, and you know, let me share a screen with you. I'll show you how Glassdoor looks like. This is platform is called Glassdoor. Yeah, so Glassdoor is a huge platform. I don't know how well this is, but it's picking up on the top 5 websites on Google at the moment. So Glassdoor is a good way. You can probably explore this. I've not explored this platform till now, but you can explore this. You can also explore the next one that I will share with you. This is called as ZipRecruiter. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can see ZipRecruiter. Yeah, so ZipRecruiter looks like this. This is another platform that's actually picking up right now to upload your your dream job if you're looking for. This is another platform. Then we can also look at, there's another one that I came across the other day, and that was called as a Snag a Job. This is how Snag a Job. Snag a Job is very big in the United States, and this is what Snag a Job looks like. So yeah, so like you can see, these are some of the websites that I have been looking through. Okay, great. So some of you say some of these platforms ask for money to job. Guys, don't always put money in any platform when you have to look for a job, because you might not necessarily find the job. Look first for platforms that don't ask for money, right? Because there are plenty of people who are looking to make money. Okay. Okay, Rocky, Tankeeb is useful for GCC. Okay, awesome. That's great information. Guys, make a note of this. Thanks, Rocky. Tankeeb. I saw this online, but I didn't honestly open the platform to check that out. If you're in the Middle East, then Tankeeb is great. Please type in, Rocky, if you're from your experience. If you know anything, we'll learn from that. Okay, so that's awesome, guys. Now I know we are at 10:30, but we remember we started at a little late. We started 10-15 minutes late, so I'm going to take 10 more 15 minutes of your time. Yeah. So can you see the presentation back? Okay, stop share. I'm going to share the presentation. Let's go back to the presentation. Okay, so what are they looking for in you? Physical appearance and presentability. Most jobs, people look how well you groom yourself, how well you come presentable, right? You don't want to go for an interview in shorts and pajamas, of course, because that's not how you present yourself at work. You go for an interview like how you would go to work, right? Now, there was once when I sat having coffee with a person from an IT product service engineer who goes to work in Hawaiian slippers and shorts. And I was like, wow, that is some privilege, right? I mean, why can't I go to work like that? But then I asked myself, that's what the industry requires, right? So, I mean, it's probably from industry to industry, but whatever interview you're going, look presentable. Don't look like you just woke up from the bed if you're doing an online interview, right? Make yourself presentable, because people don't see you physically. They're going to judge you by the way you look. So that's important. What value do you have to offer to the organization? Always tell people, this is what I'm going to add to the organization. If I am employed, this job is about the company. People are asking you what value you can add to the company. Punctuality, try to make it on time. It's still a very important factor. Yes, I will still accept people when they come 10 minutes late with a great legitimate answer. But if you're late, you're already judged as somebody who is not principled. Okay, that's playing on my mind. So unless you had a terrible breakdown, you can't afford to be late. And when you're late, you're going to have to call the interviewer and tell them, I'm sorry, I am late. You need to do that. You need to get through that person who's going to be recruiting and telling you, WhatsApp them, message them, call them and tell them, listen, I'm sorry, I'm late because of the such so and so reason. Try to give them an honest answer if you can, but your answer to us should be legit. If you're going to tell me traffic, if you're going to tell me this, that, somebody told me the other day, I'm not an early riser. I mean, are you serious about this? Really? I mean, you come and tell me on the phone, I'm sorry, I'm not an early riser. So I ended up being late. I appreciate the honesty, but let me also tell you, we're looking for some early risers in this organization. So please don't give me that answer of, oh, I'm not an early riser. You remember, you got to change if you have to change. So that's what it is. Attention to detail. Pay small attention to detail. When you go for an interview, how do you prepare yourself? Go through the website of the company. I know a lot of people in the Gulf who apply for jobs, get offer letters, they come here, they don't even know what the website looks like. They don't know what this company is all about. I mean, come on, we're living in an internet-driven world. Pay attention to detail. What's the business? When you apply for a job, ensure you have looked through the business very well. Ensure your CV is up to the mark. Don't go with that spelling mistake. I totally judge a person who's got a spelling mistake on a CV, because if your first page, you can't spell curriculum, how are you going to sit and spell things for me in my department, right? Because my department requires that. So I'm just trying to tell you how I judge. Maybe not everybody judges you based on this. Maybe I will still give you the benefit of doubt of that, but attention to detail for certain jobs is very important. Why you over 100 others, right? Ask yourself, what are people looking at you? Why you need to stand out when there are like 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 people who've applied for that job? Why you? What is it that you have done to stand out? You need to ask yourself, what is my strength? Where do I stand out? If I can't make a difference, if I can't stand out, then I shouldn't be expecting for the interviewer to hire me. How many of us are not confident? We spoke about that. A lot of you already said, it is important to have confidence. Like, I'm not able to, probably get confidence at the time I go to, for an interview, and not able to face the interview with confidence. And many times that's a big problem. Okay, there are people who are joining in when we're almost done. All right, guys. Okay. But this is what I say, right? You were sent a reminder email this morning. This is something we do for our webinars. We ensure you get reminder emails. We ensure you are there up for that. But many people, they forget. They don't make it. And that's a big challenge, right? Why do we forget? Put it on a planner. Learn to plan your life in a better fashion. Some people are getting off because of bad network. I'm so sorry, guys. This is the easiest platform that I can use. I know Zoom requires a lot of network, but I'm so sorry. Okay. Rahul, yes, I've admitted people into the into the room, into the waiting room. Okay, right. So, what are the frequent questions asked? Why is punctuality so important? It'll always be important, my friends. Punctuality is often important. If you can't make it to the interview, you simply have to tell them. Why is grooming so important? Because some jobs require for you to be presentable. Some jobs we're judging on not how you look, but how you present yourself. I'm not asking you to come wearing makeup and dressing up for a job, but I'm asking you to come how you would come decently dressed to work. So if you are from a culture where you can wear flip-flops and walk around and in shorts, that's brilliant. But maybe that's not how you come to work. But if you are in a work atmosphere where that is all right, then maybe it's all right to go like that. Right. So Soumya, could you just brush back? Soumya, we were just talking about how to face an interview. We were talking about, let me just go back. We were talking about physical appearance, punctuality, stuff like that. So yeah, I will go through a run through in the end, but let me finish this because we're running out of time. Okay. Why is it important to be absolutely honest? Because honesty is something we appreciate, right? I would rather hire somebody who's honest, but has a legit reason. You can't tell me I'm not an early riser. That is not the honesty I'm looking for. Yes, that's the honesty, but I'm looking for somebody who says, I'm sorry, I'm sick, and that's why I'm late. I accept that. But if you tell me I'm not an early riser, I'm like, thank you for taking out time. That's what I tell people. So I'm a little bit of a tough interviewer, but not necessarily that I'm not necessarily the benchmark. There could be people who are very easy on other people, but it's just that what expectations you set when you start a job, right? If I need somebody to come on time to work every day, I'm not going to tell you, hey, you, the so not early riser, please come to work whenever you feel like. No, I'm not at liberty to do that. So obviously it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So is it fine to lie during an interview? A lot of people lie, right? A lot of people lie in CVs. It's fine to lie. These are some of the questions people ask me. Right. Okay. You need to understand that you shouldn't be lying. You can exaggerate. Okay. You can exaggerate a little bit about your experience, a little bit about your knowledge. That's fine, but don't lie. Because if you're lying and if you get caught, then it's a bad thing. Right? There are many times I've told people, I don't think I'm sure of the answer that you're asking me for. Let me get back to you. Because I would appreciate somebody who tells that than trying to be over smart by lying. The other thing that people do today, online interviews. If you're interviewing online, don't try to look for answers on Google. You might just go, you're probably going to be telling something so stupid and silly to the interviewer because you're looking for a Google answer and you think the interviewer doesn't know you're looking for Google answers. Come on, my friends, they are there for a reason. I'm interviewing people and I'm like, okay, so what do you know about our company? Okay, let me go to the website and start looking up. You had 2 weeks to prepare for this interview and now you want to look up my website? Wow. So there, you lose our brownie points over there. So prepare, but don't lie. Try to be honest, okay? Is it fine to be casual during a job interview? It depends on the kind of job you're going to be hired. It depends on the culture of the place. So understand the culture where you're going to be. If you're going to be hired by Google, Google's got a very, very, very casual culture, but yet formal in its way. Facebook has that kind of a culture. I'm talking about big companies. But if you come to work in an industry like the hospitality, we're looking for you to be formal. We're looking for you to be dressed well. You have to be formal. You can't tell me, hi bro, how are you doing? Because I'm not your bro. Sorry, once again. So what I'm trying to say is that's where the difference between being casual and being formal is. There's a line. How do you address your employer, your future employer, is important. Do employers check for social media pages before they hire you? Yes, they do. I do many times. So if you're on LinkedIn, I'm going to definitely look you up and see what you've done. If you're on Facebook, and probably if I have the time to do that, I'm going to stalk you and find out if you're the kind of person I want to be. And if you've put up a post saying that, hey, I was partying till 2 a.m. last night and I'm bunking work today, maybe you want to check what you're putting up on your Facebook before you apply for a job. All right. So this is something people check. We'll talk more about this in our second webinar, where I will tell you what we look at on social media. Things that people don't tell you after the interview. This is what the HR doesn't share with you. Okay, so now this is where you're going to hate a lot of people from human resources, but I'm going to just put it out there and tell you what happens, right? So that they're not probably even looking for candidates. Many times the HR is not looking for candidates, they're looking for CVs. Okay, so they're looking to put that job out there, get like 200 CVs. This is what a lot of companies are doing. And if you go onto my LinkedIn, you'll see that I have outrageously put up a post 3 months ago that said, employers, stop deceiving candidates, because you're raising the hopes of many people, and that's not okay. You're fishing for CVs, but they are desperate for jobs. So please don't do that, right? I'm against that. I don't want to do that. When I'm advertising a job, I want it to be there. Even now, many employers are fishing out there for CVs. Even now, some of our jobs in my current organization are out there, but these were old posts that are repeated by Indeed and Google. So please go back to the post, ask people, write to me, and I tell them, no, it's not from our side. It is an automated refresh that is happening. So understand if the job is still available when you apply. Okay, the other thing that people probably don't tell you is that they selected they selected by a junior, but they wanted someone more senior and to make a final decision. Like, I'm not the one who calls the shots over here. I'm only doing the first round of interviews. You will hear back from us because the decision maker is not available right now. She is sick. She is traveling right now. We'll get back to you. That's a whole lot of thing that you don't have to trust. They probably just don't know. They've not yet made up their mind who they want to take. Okay, that's the problem, right? This is what happens. So it's not about you, it's about them. Remember that. Okay, what else? What are the other reasons? What are the other things they don't probably tell you? They did like you, but they're not sure if you're the right fit. Right, you're a great person to work with, but are you the right fit for the culture? That means is your behavior suited to the behavior of that organization? Maybe not. You're great at skills, but you're an extremely serious person, and the organization is probably a little more, agile, a little more fun loving, a little more hey bro types. So maybe you don't fit in. So that's one thing that you might not be hearing back from them as well. You might be great in your CV, you would have done excellent in your interview, but you might not be what we call as a cultural fit. Okay, so that might be a problem. You are skilled, but you did not seem flexible during the interview, right? I hate it when people come back and tell me, salary is negotiable. But when you talk to them about the salary, they'll be like, oh, okay, I don't think that is of interest. What is the meaning of negotiable, right? Negotiable means two parties can come into an agreement, then you can get that worked out. So don't put yourself as inflexible to the interviewer in the beginning, because you're losing out on that first opportunity. So if I see somebody extremely skilled, and if the person is not going to be flexible, whether it's working hours, whether it is, money, or whether it is attitude, whether it's about fitting in, you got to be flexible, guys. If you don't have flexibility, I think a lot of people, you're going to be losing out on a lot of opportunities. All right. So what's the next thing that people don't tell you? That they did like you, but they have more profiles to look in. Many times people are like, yeah, we're interviewing candidates. We have many more people in the pipeline. We'll get back to you. Okay. This is partially the truth. This is not necessary that this is the truth all the time. Yes, maybe you're the first candidate who they shortlisted for the interview. They have 5 more to go, or 10 more to go, or 100 more to go. They've not made up their mind. But if you don't hear back from them in 2 to 3 weeks, then you're most likely to not get that job. Okay, there's an 80% chance that you're not going to get that job. So it's good to keep looking. It's good to be hopeful, but not necessary to just count on one job application. And if you've applied in other places, you got to be honest about it, right? You can tell them that you've been applying for other places, but you've not heard back from anybody else. Okay, right? They liked you, but you had high expectations in salary. It's important to know how to deal with the salary question. I'm not going to give you that answer right now, because I'm going to share that. We're running out of time, and I'm going to share that in the next webinar, how to deal with salary expectation, questions and salary expectations. That's something, how to deal with that. Okay, I'll tell you what kind of answers you can give in that. Now, employability, hard skills. Now, with that, we're going to come to an end with what I wanted to share with you today. Okay, what you can look forward to is what I'm going to be talking about right now, right? If you want, what we're going to be looking about is preparing for an interview. The next interview is going to focus on preparing for an interview in a full-fledged, not just about getting up in time, how to get ready, all of that. I want to talk to you about how to answer questions before the interview. If you have a prelude interview round, telephonic round, what are you going to be doing at that point? What are you going to be doing when you get to the interviewer? How to answer questions on success, how to answer questions on salary negotiations. We're going to be talking about that. All right, previous slide. Tasneem, that's for you. Please take a screenshot of that if you want, before I move to the next slide. Okay, I hope that's that, or I'll share it with you in private, Tasneem. Okay, how can I get employers to notice me? We're going to talk about how to get employers to notice you, and what is it that you can make to make yourself stand out. Why does your CV need to stand out, right? How can I get employers to see my CV? A whole lot of tips on how to share your CV, how to make. I've actually prepared this 1-part guide already, which is in place for you. This is a 1-page document we will be sharing with you, which tells you how you can make your CV. Right? So all guidelines about making your CV, that's going to be in the next part of the webinar. If you register for that, you're going to get that one whole thing about how to make your CV work. And also, what are the other points? What are we looking for? That's something we can look forward to. Okay. Now, benefits of registering for the next webinar. Now, if you register for the next webinar, there are 5 lucky winners from that. We're going to choose who will get a one-on-one coaching session with me on career development and building your CV. All right, we're going to choose 5 lucky winners from the next set of people who are going to probably come out and register. They're going to get a 30-minute session. You will get a 30-minute session, one-on-one coaching. Individually, you and I, we sit and talk about how you can further your career, how you can develop your CV. That's only for 5 people. It's going to be a lucky draw. What else do you get? The first 50 registrants of then this upcoming webinar, get a free pass to the next webinar, which is going to be on fitness within one of India's leading fitness experts and nutrition experts. So our third webinar for this month is all on fitness. If you've seen my Instagram, I've been telling you guys that, and a lot of people said, we want a session on fitness. We want a session on fitness. So if the first people who register, for the first 50 people who register for the next webinar will get a free pass to our fitness webinar, where we will teach you everything about fitness and nutrition. You'll get a diet plan, you'll get something on fitness, basic home-based workouts, etc., etc. This is because a lot of guys were asking for fitness. So that's going to be the third webinar for the month. So if you do that, you're gonna get that. So what else do you get? Let's see. You get a complete handbook. So we're working on a handbook. If I can show you what we're actually working on right now, we are going to be showing you a handbook that we're going to be coming up with, and whatever you see on your PowerPoint is what you will get in your handbook, and you will get this entire guide of the CV guide, the handbook guide, employability skills, etc., etc. These are some of the things that you will get. If I'm not going to show you the complete handbook, but the handbook is already getting done. We will include the second webinar inputs as well inside this handbook. So you'll be getting that. You'll also get a copy of the PowerPoint presentations that we've designed, which Aditya and myself have put together extensively for you. You'll be getting the PowerPoint presentation along with the handbook. So that's something you will be getting. So what else are we looking at for you guys in this next webinar? Sorry. Lost that last slide. Okay, and then you get a comprehensive guide on how to build your CV, which I already spoke to you about. So you get a 1 or 2 page document on the CV building tips, right? So in your coaching session, if you're one of the people who chosen luckily for the coaching session, then you're going to be chosen to do a one-on-one session with me. So we give you 30 minutes of time on career progression, development, how to build your CV, and of course, you always have the the ability to ask me on social media. So these are some of the things that you'll be getting for the next, if you register for the upcoming webinar on the next following Saturday. Anyway, time to say thank you to my lead catalyst, our marketing and agency that brings you all the webinars and all of that. Ayush from this place is completely leading the project for us. Aditya, who's my business partner, Mustafa, who's also my business partner, who helps me get you all these webinars live. And there's no amount of words to say thank you to all of you who makes it to these webinars week after week. Some of you are like regular followers and are there to support us. We want to build a community of give back, and we can't do that without your support. And if you ask me why some of our webinars are priced and charged, that's because we can't give everything. What you see on screen does not come to you free of cost, my friends. And if you think everything in life is going to be free, then I'm so sorry. The reality is it's not. Okay, so this is what it is. I'm going to open up the screen for any questions that you might have right now. I'm also going to share with you the link to register for our next webinar. So what's going to happen here is you're going to have to go and register by clicking on this link like you did. It's on Transcript again. This is the link for the next webinar. Oops, I got to reply to everybody. Okay. So you will see the link for the webinar is over here. Now that's the link. If you want to go, please take a screenshot. Please copy the link from your platforms. You can do that. It's also going to be on my social media live in the next 10 minutes. You will find it on LinkedIn, Instagram, everywhere in the next few minutes. All right. So we usually release the English version first and the Arabic version after that. So you might want to register as soon as you can. Remember, if you're the first 50 people, you get a free pass to our fitness webinar with one of India's leading fitness experts. Okay. So yes, so thank you so much. Prahlad, thank you for your feedback. Now, some of you ask, what do we need to get for certificates, right? So we have a simple policy. Our motto is building the community. Our motto is building this brand so that a lot of people can benefit like you have benefited today. So if you're asking me why you are asking me to promote us, because we want more and more people. Simran, the link is not opening. It should open. Why is the link not opening? Can anybody confirm that, please? Okay, the link is not opening. All right. Let me just check on this. Sorry, Simran, about that. Just give me a second why the link is not opening. All right, guys, just copy that link for now. The link should work. I'm not quite sure why it's not working at the moment. We've activated the link, but if it's not working, I'm sorry about that. The link should work. You can keep the link, and if you have yeah, I know the link's not working, guys. I know. But please follow me on social media. You will get the links over there. There is a problem with the link. It will be activated. If you're, what I want you to do is, if you have finished, if you probably finished the webinar with us, you want a certificate right now, you're gonna have to put a review on Facebook. Okay, so I'm going to give you our link to Facebook review. That's the review page where you could please go put your reviews. And once you put your review, you take a screenshot and email it to mail@immanuelwilliams.com. I hope I got that right. Okay. So review page of Facebook, put up a screenshot of that to the email. Or you can, if you don't have a Facebook account, you can go to Instagram. You can go and put up your, if you don't have, there, somebody doesn't have a Facebook. So go to Instagram. Sorry, you can follow me on Instagram. You will see the post where this particular webinar was advertised. You can put the review over there. We want to market, yes. If you're asking me why I'm looking to market, we're building a community. So if you have a problem with that and you want everything for free, I'm sorry. You got the webinar for free, you don't get the certificate. So if you want a certificate, you can do something for us. We've worked 2 weeks to get you this webinar. You can work for 2 minutes to get yourself a certificate from our academy. All right. So yes, Prahlad, the PPT will be provided for you if you register for the next webinar. So all of you, you get 2 PowerPoint presentations, you get a handbook, you get a CV presentation guide, 5 people get to get a coaching session with us, and 50 people get a free pass to the 3rd webinar of the month. We can't incentivize this anymore, guys. It's not a lot. So go out there, register yourself, and get yourself a seat on the next webinar, because we'll talk to you about interviews and CV building, and you'll get the entire guide. Okay, unfortunately, the link is not working. So please pardon me about that. But yes, the link will work. You can get in touch with me on Instagram. You can get in touch with me on LinkedIn, anywhere. Any questions before we sign off? I'm sorry we've taken 15, 20 minutes more, but I hope you had enjoyed the webinar. Please go and leave a feedback. We might send you a feedback link on Google to answer your feedback. It'll be great to hear from you. But if you're one of the first timers on our webinars, then that's great. But please go back and leave a review. I'm going to paste the review page link once again, because many times people come and tell us we don't know where to put the review on. That's the Facebook link, guys. You have to put your review over there. I don't know what you'll rate me. I can't tell you to rate me, whatever you want to rate me, but I would like to have a screenshot of that review sent to us if you want a certificate from us, right? If you want a certificate from us, you're going to have to put the review over there. Let me get that link error to you. And I'm so thankful for you to taking your time out. And I would like to say thanks to all of you. So any last minute questions before we wrap up? Any questions, anybody? You can raise your hand. You can open up you can unmute yourself. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I think there's great. If you've put your reviews, you got to send your screenshot to us on email. You got my email address. You can take a picture of that. Please send it to us so that we know you have reviewed our webinar. That's my email. You're going to have to send it for. Okay. Well, I think my friend Ayush is saying the link is working right now. So let me see if I can paste the link. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. So you can directly go there and let's see if this link is working now. Voila, yes, the link is working now. I'm so sorry about the Technology can be a little bad. Okay, the link is working now. That's the link for the next webinar. So please go register yourself. And you can, if you're in India, you will have to register as Indians in India. If you're outside India, you're going to have to register. So you can do that. So is the certificate beneficial for future? I don't know. Ask yourself that question. I'm sorry, I can't answer that question because I'm not Harvard or Oxford to tell you that my certificate from my academy is going to be something that you can hang up on your walls. But a lot of people ask for certificates after the webinar is done. And that's precisely why we tell you that for the certificates, you got to do this. Okay, so I'll paste the link for the webinar once again. Sorry for the extra time and sorry for your for the miscommunication. Thank you for your patience, all of you, and thank you. Thank you, everybody. I will see you in the next webinar if you're registered, because if you register for the next webinar and if you're the first 50, I will see you for the next 2 webinars where my friend and colleague Jiggy Asa, who's my fitness expert, will give you answers on fitness, nutrition, diet plans, what kind of exercises you can do at home when you're in a lockdown. You don't have gyms to go to. You don't have to spend on expensive stuff. So you will be seeing me through the next 2 webinars. Thank you so much for being with us. All right. Thank you. Have the best of the rest of the next weekend, and I will see you guys. All right.